Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Haunted Huddle Over Coffee. My name's Lauren,
And he.
and today we're talking about the Dybbuk Box. Is that what it's called now?
The Dybbuk Box.
Dybbuk.
My
It's
ancestors are rolling over in their graves right now.
It's kind of a fun word to say, I'm not gonna lie, because then it just sounds like Palpatine going, "Do it,
Do it.
but it's Dybbuk."
Christ, that's all we're gonna hear now is do it.
This random sound just okie dokie. So next, do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is? Because besides knowing that it comes from like Jewish culture, that's about all I know about this.
Dybbuks themselves come from Jewish culture. The Dybbuk Box is literally, people have probably seen it. They made a couple movies about it.
Okay.
So it's essentially now a folklore legend, and the Dybbuk Box itself is supposed to be a small wine cabinet. Like one of those little ones that hold like the... God, I can't measure liquor right now. But like the little bottles of alcohol.
Oh,
it's
the
not
splits.
Yes. It's not a super big box from what I've seen. It's like maybe the size of like from your collarbone to your hips. It's not like what we typically think of when we think wine cabinet.
So what is it, like a ceremonial thing?
It was made to look like a ceremonial thing. I've heard that it was honestly just decorated. Because I'm gonna be sorry to say, but the actual Dybbuk Box is fake.
So like the one that we're talking about right now, that's all like fake legend lore.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's a fake. The person who initially sold it said that he just dressed it up, put some stuff in it, and it wasn't actually holding a Dybbuk inside.
So why
So
people are mean?
Right?
So son of an Ed boy lied.
You son of an Ed boy. So, history and origin of Dybbuks. They are malicious spirits from Jewish mythology, and from the Dybbuk word Dybbuk, or the Hebrew word Dybbuk. I could definitely be butchering these. I don't speak Hebrew, and I apologize in advance. Its meaning to adhere or cling. So, Dybbuks are commonly believed to be malicious male spirits, as a majority rule, I suppose. But these spirits are thought to be dislocated souls, which honestly, when I think of a dislocated soul, I think of somebody astral projecting. So if you get stuck out there, that sucks for you.
Oh.
You want to tell the Dybbuk story?
And just Kenai in the background, which I love.
He's like, Mother, you're not paying attention to me? You were chewing on your antler quietly? No talkback. I know saying that to a husky is kind of stupid, but no talkbacks. No.
He's like, who you think you are?
Dissecting the actual word or name, Dybbuk, it comes from a Hebrew word that means to adhere or cling. Dybbuks are also thought commonly to be malicious male spirits for whatever fucking reason. And these spirits are thought to be dislocated souls. So now the fun thing is, and this is all from the actual mythology of Dybbuks. So like what the actual spirit is. It is thought to supposedly leave a host's body because it does cling on to a human being, hence its name. And it kind of just... it like soaks up everything from this person. It's essentially just a parasite from what I've read.
Like a succubus, or is it like more of like a spirit thing?
It's a spirit, so succubi are different.
Well, I know they're like energy suckers.
They're energy suckers. It's never, like, from what I've found, it's never specifically told, but it's more so like trying to suck the life out of you and just overall make you miserable.
I have an ex-boyfriend like that.
Your ex-boyfriend's Dybbuk? Oh,
Maybe.
it's okay. Same. Very much same. So, it's supposedly thought that it leaves its host body once whatever goal it has is accomplished, and it sometimes has to be exorcised from a person. I don't know why sometimes it has to be exorcised, but apparently we just thought to let this thing course through itself, I guess.
So like a
the
flu,
common
it's just gotta
cold.
run its course?
Yeah.
Oh, just let the spirit run its course. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll
Maybe.
be okay. Maybe.
It's fine. We'll figure it out.
So, interestingly enough, the term Dybbuk actually appeared in several writings from the 16th century. Like plays and stories and stuff. It was ignored mainstream for a really long time until somebody in 1920 made a play called The Dybbuk, and it became a very popularized concept in literary circles, especially during that time. And I won't lie to you, until hearing about the Dybbuk Box, I had no idea what these things were.
Yeah, I'd never heard
I'll be
about this before.
100% honest with you. But the story itself is essentially like a young woman's fiance or lover had died. His malicious spirit came back and became attached to her because she got engaged to somebody else. It was this whole love triangle thing with a Dybbuk.
So we're right back to the gin.
Right back to the gin.
I'm gonna marry you whether you like it or not.
I mean, I don't even think he was trying to marry her again. I think he just wanted her to be miserable because she moved on.
I mean, fair.
Like,
He's
how
valid
dare
in his
you?
feelings.
Do we know how he died?
No. I don't even think she died. I think they exorcised the Dybbuk. Trying to read this thing, because it is also in a different language, translations are horrible. And it's not like I could find anything that, like, clearly gave me the story. I just gave you the plot line. These are the bullet points of it.
I love that.
A rabbi had also reported that they have supposedly advised an individual that was said to be possessed by Dybbuk and told him to consult a psychiatric help.
So the rabbi said and she went, bruh, go see a doctor.
So, back to the actual box, now that we know basic points of Dybbuk's. So, in 2003, writer and furniture finisher business owner named Kevin Mannis purchased this cabinet at a fucking yard sale of a local attorney in Portland, Oregon. And of course it's in Portland, Oregon. And he had began to develop a backstory for this box. According to Mannis, quote, "The carvings on the back of it is my carving. The stone that was in the box is something that is a signature creation of mine also. Make no mistake, I conceived the story of the Dybbuk Box, the name, the term, the idea, and wrote this creative story around it to post on eBay."
So essentially, hey, I wanted to be a writer, needed to make some money, let me scare you to make you buy my shit.
But, like, he sold the box on eBay. So the way I'm looking at it is that he decorated this box, filled it with what would look like artifacts and carvings, and bejeweled it essentially, and made up this wacky ass story to follow along with it, and then proceeded to sell it on eBay for the people like Zach Bagans who collect scary things. Ooh. Ooh. Mannis's auction description of the box included a story claiming that the cabinet was previously owned by a survivor of the Holocaust in Poland, who said it contained the malevolent spirit of a Dybbuk, and that the box had paranormal powers and was responsible for his bad luck and nightmares. That's the census of the story he gave on eBay.
So
Obviously.
This motherfucker
He made it up.
Used a genocidal tragedy where millions of Jewish people were slaughtered because of some dumbass. And he's like, I'm going to say that because of this box got haunted, and I'm going to sell it and tell people that
He
it's
didn't say
evil.
that because of the Holocaust, the fucking box got haunted.
Well, it says that Dybbuks are like vengeful spirits. I'm sorry if I was murdered because I was Jewish, which I'm ethnically Jewish,
Lauren.
just don't practice it. I'd be pissed too. Sorry, the Holocaust always pisses me the fuck off.
But his story was that a Holocaust survivor owned the box, said that it contained a Dybbuk, and he believed this made-up man who was a Holocaust survivor said that, oh, well, this box is the reason of all my bad luck in my life and all of the nightmares I've had. Which, realistically, if this man was real, I think the awful event that you endured would be enough to cause your nightmares. Not a wine cabinet. Anyway.
I don't know. Wine cabinets can be pretty spooky.
No, the fuck they can't.
Yeah, they
Maybe
can.
if they're empty to an alcoholic.
Maybe if they're empty to an alcoholic.
The only way they can be scary. Anyway, the box gained a lot of attention when it was auctioned off on eBay by Mannis, who had fabricated the whole story, quote-unquote, featuring Jewish Holocaust survivors and paranormal activity claims as a part of his eBay description of the item. Mannis's story proceeded to inspire the 2012 film of The Possession, and then later in 2021, Magus told Input magazine that the Dybbuk Box story was entirely fictional. So, from 2003 to 2021, people walked around thinking that this wine cabinet's haunted.
And believed it.
Later, owners of the box had retold Mannis' story, reselling the item, and amplified it with their own quote-unquote strange phenomena. Jason Haxton, sorry, I confused his fucking name for a moment. Jason Haxton is one of the last owners of the Dybbuk Box. Launched a whole website consolidating claims about the cabinet itself called dybbukbox.com, which no longer is up because I went to go look at it.
I see.
He also spelt Dybbuk wrong.
Well, maybe
I'm
that
sorry.
Dybbuk. Come on, we have our own website plug right here, the Haunted Huddle Over Coffee.com. It's still under construction, but it is very much there. Maybe just the way it was spelled properly was already taken.
Mayhaps. But it was just kind of funny to me. Because I'm not gonna lie, I spelt Dybbuk that way when I didn't know how to spell it. Regardless, the actual word comes up. For anybody who doesn't know how it's spelled or is not looking at the title of the podcast, Dybbuk is actually spelled Dybbuk, and this guy wrote for the URL as Dibbuk and then box.
So, all right. This is something that just like popped into my head, so this might just be an ADHD thought. Would the Dybbuk box be considered the Jewish Schrodinger's box?
I don't know what that is.
No, the Schrodinger's box is you don't know until you open it. I think maybe it might be a little bit closer to Pandora's box than it would be to Schrodinger's. Mind you, they're also two very, very different things. But I do think that it would probably be closer to something like that, containing all the evils in the world, or containing evil instead of, like, hey, is there a cat in there?
But like knowing the history, right? Is there actually evil in there? Is there not?
Well, technically, nothing says that the Dybbuk is entrapped in it, so it's not like Jinn being entrapped in something. It's just adhered itself to this wine cabinet of all things.
Well,
Maybe he wanted a drink. We don't know.
So, like, normally I'm like I did a little bit of research. Usually, like, I know with this box, like, it had the really pretty like, what is it?
It
Grapes
looks
on the
very
outside.
pretty.
Yeah, the grapes on the outside, and when you pull the drawer open, it opens the cabinet at the same time because the light needs to reflect on everything all at the same time. I know in Jewish culture, I don't know why, but I do know that's a thing with these boxes. And so I watched like a 2-minute video. That's all I know. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know going with that. My train just.
Well, it was just a simple wine cabinet.
Yeah, it was like me because I see there's the prayer stone on the inside.
But again, he put all that shit in there. He literally made this whole detailed hoax.
How much did he sell the box for on eBay?
I honestly do not know.
Like, that's what I want to know. How much did he sell this goddamn box on eBay? And what
is
is that worth to him?
Not listed. Hold on. I love that now everybody's selling their own kind of Dybbuk boxes.
Because people who do anything nowadays for a quick buck.
Haxton paid $280 for this box.
That's it. Just $280.
$280.
Hope it was worth it for you, buddy.
Well, he eventually gave it to Zach Bagans. And now it sits in Zach's museum in California.
In California?
Mm-hmm.
That seems like not a very, like, I don't know. When I think of California, I don't think of hauntings. I think of cannibals, but then I also think of, like, the Donner Party and
Yeah,
I
valid.
mean, I'm pretty sure he's from California.
Zach?
Yeah.
I mean, good for him.
Zach Galifianakis?
I'm sorry. He's from Washington, D.C., but he's lived in California for, I think, most of his adult life.
He does have the DC look.
The museum is in Las Vegas.
Oh,
Isn't that also where Robert the Doll is?
no, I thought
No.
Robert the Doll's in Florida.
Yeah. He's in Florida where he was found.
It's like in the
Where
Keys.
all that shit started, he's staying home.
Makes sense.
But yeah. On this website that Haxton had created around the whole box, he had reportedly received hundreds and thousands of hits and created what has been described as an internet legend, which is no longer up. And despite the website no longer being up, obviously the story has constantly spread around the internet and gained a small bit of popularity. Paxton sold all of his rights to any stories to the producers of The Possession in 2012, and then he had later gave the cabinet to Zach Bagans to display in his museum, which is where it remains to this day.
Good.
As it should stay.
So, did anybody ever report like something crazy happening with like this box, or was it just like, well, hullabaloo, or like after he sold the box, it was like nothing else ever happened with it?
I'm sorry, I tuned out. What? Mom had asked me a question.
Yeah, you're good. So like after he sold this box, like obviously he was claiming all this shit was happening. Did anybody else ever report something with this box, or did it kind of just be like, meh?
Apparently, people who owned it between Manus selling it and then Haxton having it, there were a few people that had it. No names are listed, so I don't know how true that is. But these alleged people who had owned the Dybbuk Box had claimed that they had a bunch of different experiences with it and paranormal phenomena. I cannot find a list of these people anywhere. So
Or are they just deciding to stay private? Like, was it?
I don't know.
Well, maybe after like everyone, the guy came out and he was like, yeah, no, I lied.
Yeah, they
Everyone
probably
just kind of
didn't
went.
want to be associated with it.
They're like, oops, I'm crazy. All right, I am a liar. I was trying to get attention, or
Listen, you put enough thought into thinking something's haunted or something's creepy, your mind is going to play into that.
Yeah, I will say that is
manifesting.
something. Yeah, like you manifested enough. It's like, like we talked about, like indigenous Americans, right?
Mhm.
Where like they very much rely on if you speak something into existence, it will exist, which is why a lot of them are, when it comes down to their own like folklore, especially like evil folklore,
They don't say it.
they don't say
They
it.
never say it out loud. That's because if you say it, it gives it power, the same way that if you were to give something a name, it gives it power.
Yep.
Voldemort.
Voldemort.
It's moldy butt.
Christ on a stick.
I think of that episode of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Christ on a stick.
Every time you say his name, something bad happens.
But yeah, that is everything for the Dybbuk Box.
So, in like, you said they made movies about this.
Yes. So the one really popular one that came out in 2012 is called The Possession.
The Possession. Ooh.
They made a documentary series about the Dybbuk Box. There's another movie that came out in 2021 called simply The Dybbuk.
Wasn't there another one? I can't remember the title of it, but it was a fairly new movie that came out, like maybe a year or so ago. Either that, or I watched a Found Flicks video, and the movie's older than I think it is.
I mean, 2021 was the latest release of any movie involving or some variation of the Dybbuk Box. Also, a movie called Ezra that came out in 2017 was essentially just like a remake of The Possession.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of then. I just remember there being like something involving like a family, Jewish family. It's like some sort of haunting, and then like they made a deal with like something hell
The
based.
Possession is the very first movie, and then Ezra came out, and then the Dybbuk. So it was all based off of each other. Like they all took inspiration from the movies as a whole.
Ooh. Yeah, I just part of me like kind of wishes there was more to it, or like there might be like more factual stuff to it. Not like factual, like as in like I don't know. People were terrified of this thing,
Everybody in the
and
background
maybe
is
they were
just
for a
hitting
while
that.
until they realized it was a hoax, and then it's like, oh shit.
Uh-uh.
God.
All right, so I think that pretty much concludes this week's episode.